lots of folks tonight. That's really great. We have a couple of little things of business to cover. First, I'd like to welcome some folks. We have some future speakers and judges actually that have joined us tonight. Anastasia and her husband. Hello, Anastasia. And Tom, Valerie's going to tell us about the presentation. Tom is going to be doing presentation for us in April. So we welcome you. And also Chris Moore. Chris, some of us met at a meeting with NIAC, an online meeting, and he expressed an interest in our club. So Chris, welcome. We're glad to have you. You're welcome. Wave. All right. I think everybody else we know. Do we see anybody else that we don't know? I do not, unless you do, Matt. I think you know everybody.
Hans Kernest?
Nope, he's one of ours. No Hans. We know Hans. All right, so couple things. Next month, just to remind you, next month's schedule is a little wacky because it's.
That's right, Jennifer's here.
Oh yes, hi Jennifer. That's right, we met Jennifer too. Nice to see you. Next month we don't have a speaker because of the Easter and Passover holidays. So instead we have our competition meeting, which means our competition meeting is the first or the second Wednesday of the month instead of the fourth. So you've got really basically about 2 weeks to get ready for that. And the subject of that competition is threes. So remember that. So remember you've got to upload early, and the competition is our first meeting, first and only meeting of the month, next month. Terry asked me to cover just a couple real quick things for NJFCC. You've been getting emails from him, so please look at them. There's a lot that's going on with NJFCC, especially in terms of events. And one of the best ways to know what those events are is to sign up for Meetup, because all of the events that NJFCC sponsors and some of their member clubs end up on Meetup. So please remember to join that. And I don't see Sue Fielder. There she is. And Sue Fielder, congratulations to Sue for winning a merit award for NJFCC for her photo of the two lizards, which is a great photo. And she won merit award in their nature competition this past month. And let's see what else we've got. Matt, I think I'll turn it over to you, and then we're going to ask Valerie. I'm going to start with Valerie. Valerie, if you can unmute yourself and tell us about our speaker in April, Tom, who's here.
Yes, Tom is here. Oh, is that okay? Feedback.
You get feedback.
Yeah. Okay. A little better. The title will be Seeing in a Different Light. And I'm going to read the description so I don't mess it up. A discussion of utilizing the near infrared spectrum to create evocative pictures. This talk will include a survey of the equipment and techniques Tom personally uses to create images with infrared light. It'll be followed by question and answers, and he'll show a collection of his infrared images. And while he's showing those, he'll also show us how he created them.
Terrific. We're looking forward to it, Tom. So thank you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be. Matt, your turn.
I think you should go to John first.
Okay. John, can you unmute him?
Yep.
I think I'm unmuted.
You are.
You are.
Okay. I just wanted to mention to everybody that Worldwide Pinhole Photography Day, which is something we participated in last year, is going to take place on Sunday, April 25th. People from around the world are going to take photos with either a film or digital camera and a pinhole on that day and upload one image to the World Pinhole Photography Day website. About 1,300 people from 57 countries around the world sent in photos last year's, including 17 of our club members. If you go to the Worldwide Pinhole Photography Day website, you can see all of last year's entries as well as all subsequent years. They've been running this since 2001. It's not a contest and there are no prizes. If this at all intrigues you, you need to have a pinhole lens. If your camera accepts interchangeable lenses, one way is to use an extra body cap that fits onto the camera. I drill it out and we put a tiny little metal plate in there that has an extremely tiny hole in the center of it. And that gets taped to the inside. I've made pinhole caps for Nikon, Canon, Sony, DSLRs, and mirrorless cameras, and they are available for a $5 donation to the club if anyone is interested in these. If you happen to have a camera other than those three and you have a body cap for it, I can make a pinhole for you. I've been experimenting with pinhole caps on my Canon and Sony DSLR and mirrorless cameras, and the results can be pretty amazing. You can take handheld pinhole images with most digital cameras. You do have to use a pretty high ISO, like 6400, although a tripod can help. There's no need or the ability to focus. There's no aperture. It's got infinite depth of field, but everything has a very soft image. You can sharpen things up quite a bit with Nik software, Topaz, Focus Magic, that kind of stuff. But don't expect miracles because part of the nature of a pinhole image is its soft focus. In the next newsletter, there'll be a blurb about this and a way to contact me. Most of you have my email address. If you are at all interested, tell me what type of camera you have, and I can make a pinhole cap for you. Again, it's a $5 donation to the club. Oh, here we go. I guess Matt must be sharing this, but this is their website. And yeah, it's showing the Worldwide Pinhole Photography Day on April 25th, 2021. That's basically it. If people have any questions, feel free to ask me or send a question in the chat or email me, or you have Debbie's phone number, you can reach me that way too. So it's a lot of fun. We had 17 people last year, and I think about 6 or 8 people the year before. It can be a lot of fun.
And you can tag the club in your on your entry so we can all go and find you. And I think maybe what we'll do, John, is I don't know that we ever posted those to Facebook. So maybe we'll, in preparation for this year, we'll post last year's photos on Facebook if everybody's okay with that.
Okay. I did create a group, CDCC, and so you can search on there. Yes, if you, Matt's doing it, but if yes.
Where do you look?
It's a really
Not the best website.
not the best website.
Oh, here it is. Maybe it's in here. Event source, events.
No, I'm
I
not
want to
sure.
see last year's images.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to find it.
Yeah, maybe not.
It's a volunteer organization, so it's just not the greatest website in the world. But once things are uploaded, things run pretty smoothly. So a lot of people do use film for this.
I think it was at the top, Matt.
Yeah, I just don't know exactly where at the top because it's sort of hidden.
Yeah, they used white, and that's terrible.
Yeah, no, go further. This is the right
Oh,
gallery.
here's a gallery. Okay,
Gallery.
here we go.
And then select last year's.
There we go. And then we should be able to select group. Here we
Yep,
are.
there you go. And go.
I just found it. I was just getting ready to send it to
That's
you.
it.
So
That's it.
there's the ones that we did last year.
Right.
Yeah,
So you get a sense of what can be done.
Linda,
Everything is very soft. It has infinite
Greg,
depth of field. Yes, there's Greg.
Pat.
Right.
This one I love.
Yeah, this is those are model cars that Lou used, and his camera I think was sitting on the ground with tiny little cars, and it looks like a model.
From
Pretty
his
amazing.
driveway, looking at the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Kathy. Yeah, it was a horrible day last year. It
Raining,
was
yeah.
raining like crazy.
And yeah, the key to these photos is they're supposed to be taken on that day
That
only.
day, yes.
Joe, you may be able to go back and take that shot again this year,
Yeah, let's hope,
fortunately.
let's hope not. And that's it. That was the last one.
Great, thank you, that's great.
Yeah,
I
Okay.
don't think everybody ever got to see those before. Thank you, John. Just one quick thing, Matt, before you go. For PSA, Melinda asked me to remind everybody that the round 3 deadline for uploading images to our website is Sunday, March 28th. So this is open subject matter. It's not nature, it's open. And so you have till March 28th to upload your images to our website. Okay, Matt.
excellent. We closed the uploading of Glenny, and we're deciding on which images will be sent off to Glenny. They'll be finalized this weekend, so everybody will find out next week in an email as to which images were sent off. Unfortunately, we did have to disqualify a couple again this year because there was hand-to-man in some of the images that were turned in. But that's about it. The deadline to enter is the 28th, so that's Sunday, I believe, or Tuesday, I think it is, right? Which day is the 28th?
For us to upload them to Glenny.
Yeah, for me to physically upload to Glenny is the 28th, which is Sunday, actually. And then once they do that, they're going to judge them. I think that's in a couple weeks. It's not right away.
Yeah, it's April, I think.
Yeah,
Quite a ways.
they are. See if I can find it real quick. Nah. They're gonna judge them on the 17th of April, so we won't know anything about it probably until the next month after that, I would assume.
Yeah, and last year's, if I recall, we didn't have any individual winners, but the club did win one of the 5 diversity awards for having entered and scored well enough in all the different
In all the
categories.
categories, yes. That was our goal last year, is to try to get the most amount of categories as possible. And hopefully we're not going to get them all again this year because we did not get very many submitted in the freshwater category. So we probably will not make every single category like we did last year, but hopefully we'll have enough to get another award like that.
Great. All right. If we don't have anything else, I would like to introduce Henry Rowan on give you some idea of his biography. I'm really excited to have Henry here tonight. Henry is a national award-winning photographer. He's the executive director of the nonprofit Pennsylvania Center for Photography in Doylestown. And in addition to be a working professional photographer, he's a frequent lecturer and judge throughout the region, and he teaches a variety of workshops at the PCP. His work is frequently on display at galleries and shows, and he's gained a following for his distinctive style of portraiture as well as unique portrayal of Manscaped's nature and sports. Photographically, Henry's style is well defined but somewhat difficult to describe. He plays with movement, light, color, and unison to create images that are easy to identify as his. The driving theme of his work is his concept of non-existent imagery. And here's how he describes that. The images I create never existed and never will exist. They are combinations of angles, colors, light, time, lenses, sensors, and more, which produce images that the human eye can't see and the human mind can't process in real life. Unlike the photojournalist, I am not trying to capture a moment in time, but rather I am hoping to create a feeling in space that conveys the essence of the subject. Working within this framework provides a great deal of artistic freedom for Henry and fosters a worldview that's both individualistic and offers unlimited creative opportunities. Many of his images are the results of hours of work and are part of his Cameragraph series, in which post-processing plays a major role to visually construct his reality. Regardless of the scene, Henry strives to reveal the essence of his subjects in a manner that is as unique as the subjects themselves. And you can see his work at, and I think I sent this out in the email today with the Zoom link, but it's rowanphotography.com, or you can contact him via Gmail at henryrowan.pcp@gmail, which you can also find on the PCP website. So without further ado, I think we're ready, Matt.
Excellent. Let me just unmute Henry and turn the chat off. All right, can we
I
hear you,
think I'm
Henry?
unmuted.
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that introduction. I really appreciate it. If before we start the judging, I can say a couple of things, I'd appreciate that. And I think that you might find some of it meaningful. The PCP, I recognize many of the faces on the screen when I joined. You folks have been very generous with your entries, and we've been honored to have displayed in many of our shows photographs from your club. So I thank you for that. We do have our Odyssey exhibition, which will be online this year. Normally we'd have a print exhibition and a digital exhibition for folks that either don't want to print or are too far away. That's not happening this year, obviously, for a number of reasons related to COVID. In any event, our Odyssey exhibition currently is online, and we do have a call for photography out. One of the things that we've done this year, which is apropos to tonight, is we've added a special prize, and I think it's $250 for the best black and white image. That's a little bit different. There's also a special prize of $250 for the best wildlife image. So we've adjusted to the times a little bit, and if you're interested, that can all be found at the PCP website, which was mentioned before. In terms of black and whites, I want to make a couple of points. To really understand black and white, you need to stay off the internet, basically. The internet is a terrible, terrible, terrible place to view black and white images. To really understand the full scope and power of black and white, I urge everybody to go to high quality galleries and museums and see the work of Ansel Adams or New Jersey's own George Tice to really understand what the potential is. Something that goes along with that is when you are having your images judged in black and white, they don't necessarily translate very well to TV monitors, large screen TVs, I should say, or projectors. So when you're doing that, if you're going to be submitting something to a competition that will be displaying via a projector or a large screen TV, throw it up on your TV at home and see how it looks. And always if you have something that looks great on a TV, the chances are very good that it will be a nightmare and a half to print. So be prepared to basically make two copies, one a print copy and one for a digital display. That's not a good high quality computer monitor. And the biggest tip of all that I can give you is study the zone system by Ansel Adams and Fred Archer, so that you have a concept of what black and white tones are and where they fall. In the zone system, there was a range of 10 different zones for the various tones in black and white print. With digital these days, you can get up to 13 or 14 even, but I would advise you not to. Many of the images that we see are HDR black and whites, and at least if you're dealing with a traditionalist judge, they're not going to fly very well, especially if they include people. So those are my comments on black and white, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you folks have.
Excellent. Usually we have 4 groups. Our beginner group did not put any images in, so we are going to start with our group 2.
Okay.
We have 13 images. We need a first, second, and third, and 3 HMs out of this group.
Okay.
So Henry, I'll announce the title and then you can go to it.
Okay.
And here we go.
So
Are we gonna do you do a pass through first, or just?
I usually do not. I can if you really want, but
No, that's fine. Happy to do whatever you guys do.
okay. Yeah, usually we don't. So,
Okay.
all right, here we go.
All right, this is our level 2. Brooklyn Rapid Transit.
I'm going to do a 6 on this. It's a nice concept. One of the things that I look for in black and white is I look for a full range of tones. There are areas in here that should go to a full black and aren't, and areas that really need to go to a full white. And that's hurting the contrast here. The shot itself is really nice. A lot of potential in this shot. I might leave a little bit more room on the right-hand side. It's a little bit cut off visually, but nothing to really be concerned about. But it's the contrast. Right now, you're too bulked into the grays.
View from Brooklyn.
I'm also going to do a 6 on this. The exposure is really quite good. I'm seeing a fair amount of softness in this, which I think hurts the image somewhat. If you're going to go soft, go really soft. And otherwise, on something like this that's highly detailed, you want to make sure that your image is really there, really sharp. Also, I would probably go through and I'd straighten the, I don't know what building that is, World Trade Center. I don't know what it is, the big building. And you could see some distortion on the left-hand side with the lines. So lines being straight is really important, especially with architectural subjects.
Locomotive 475.
Okay, this is also going to be a 6, and where this has an issue is, whereas the first image had no blacks, this has too many blacks. There's actually detail. Can you see my mouse or going? I guess not. But underneath, there's a lot of shadow area that has a lot of detail that would be much more expressive.
If you click annotate, you should be able to draw.
Yeah.
I think that's up at the top under view options.
Yeah.
And then hit draw, and then you should be able to draw something.
Here's my mouse. Now you can see it, I think, right?
No.
Okay, draw.
Draw, yeah, you should be able to draw.
Right in here.
Yes.
Right in here, right in here. These are all areas that you should be able to pull some shadow detail out that will really make this picture pop. You've held the highlights quite well. It's a nice shot, but it's that range of tones that you're actually looking for.
Astrolabe?
I'm gonna do a 7 on this one. Nice concept. Again, we're losing a little bit of shadow detail in here, but the snow has been held, which is quite good. Hard to hold snow. If you read about the zone system, you'll understand how to expose for snow and actually get a good exposure. And you'll actually learn why your camera meter gives you bad exposures in snow most of the time. But this is a well-seen image. You could use a little bit more contrast, but it's nicely shot.
Collapsed.
That it has. A difficult subject to photograph. Just clear this. The snow is held quite well. So this doesn't, even though you have a white and a black, there's a lot of grays in this that just don't pop off the screen. I'm going to do a 6 on this. But you did a good job of handling the snow.
Skilled hands at work.
Oh, we'll do an 8 on this one. This is nicely done. Tough shot in terms of the lighting, the hot spots behind the hand with the tool are not offensive at all. They're very nicely done. Textures are good, well done, an interesting shot. So an 8 on this one.
Divine presence.
We're going to do an 8 on this one as well. This is nicely shot. I do like the fact that all the lines are straight. That shows a fair amount of extra effort. There's more tonality in this shot. I think that you have a lot of potential here and can take it up a couple of steps further, but it's well done. You do have to be careful when you're working with black and white. You're beginning to get some haloing right here. And again over here. So when you get into the upper levels, halos will immediately kill it with a judge, because what that's saying is that the image is over processed. So in this case, you know, the overall image works. I would work on it a little bit more because you have a lot more contrast. You can make this image pop a lot further.
Vermont covered bridge.
The same thing goes for this image. We'll do a 7 on this one. You're looking for contrast in your black and whites, by and large, unless you're intentionally going for the middle gray tones. You need to be able to really make those tones pop. For example, you have a lot of white right in this area. Oops, let me get back to my drawing tool. Right in this whole area here, there's a ton of white. There's also a ton of black that you can get without losing the shadow details and the mid-tone details right in here. So you can make this one really pop off the screen, which is going to be a big improvement to it.
Flying in unison.
The famous geese. Nicely shot, nicely shot. And you know, I'll do an 8 on this one too, because I like the image very, very much. You do have, again, you know, watch your contrast, because the overall kind of thought on this one is that it's kind of gray. The shot itself is very nice. The potential is really there. You've got white underbellies to a large extent, white, white in the neck, right in here and up here. So you can really pop this image and make it stand out without losing anything. You can also, there's room to bring these light rays up tremendously. There's a lot of room there to work by bringing your whites up and at the same time dropping your blacks. You'll be amazed what happens. If you work with white and black and rotate through those and adjust those, you can do a lot more to create your image in correctly than you can using a simple contrast control.
Quarters.
I like this. The problem I'm having with this is that it's not super sharp, and I think it needs to be. The sharpness is really, really important. And this one just, when I look at it, it looks soft, which is the problem. The exposure is very good, and the tonality is very good, but the softness is thrilling me, and I hope I'm not judging that because of the way it's just being sent over the interweb here, but which might be another case of make sure your files are big enough when you're sending them into competitions, that they show well, because this conceivably could be sharp and just a low res image. From a concept point, I'll do a 7 on this one.
Edgewater townhouses.
Could do a 7 on this. It's a different angle. It's a thoughtful shot. Again, we have contrast issues, especially in the buildings. I think that's there's an overall sense of grayness to this that I don't think really needs to be there. The whole trick with black and white is controlling those 10 shades of gray so that you have an image that pops off the screen or pops out of the frame. So we'll do a 7 on this.
Frozen drain falls.
I'm going to do a 6 on this. Again, it's a sharpness issue. There's a couple of other things that you really need to be careful of. Right up in here, there's some snow, but there's no texture on there at all. And you're looking at when you're shooting with snow or ice, it's really, really tough. The best advice that I can give anybody shooting black and white is don't blow your highlights. Almost all modern cameras now, you have a lot more room to bring up your shadow detail without generating noise or artifacts than we did in, say, 2010, 2012. But what has not improved is the ability to bring highlights back in so that there's a little bit of texture. Again, there's a sharpness issue here. So make sure your stuff is sharp. Also, with modern cameras, you can increase your ISO much more than I used to feel comfortable with. So if this is a result of a shutter speed that might be too low, you could pop your ISO and still be pretty safe with it. So.
What was your score? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, a 6 on this?
Homeless.
Very cute. We're going to do an 8 on this one. Nicely done in terms of holding the detail throughout the image. Very nicely done. That's a strong image, and it's a good black and white. You have a little bit more contrast you could pull, a little bit more detail you can pull, but it's a good, strong image in terms of the technique.
Okay.
That one we'll give a 9 to. Yeah,
Except for the little red and blue in there.
we'll ignore that because that's,
All right, we have 4 8s. So we need a first, second, and third out of this group. I will, can you see the thumbnails at the bottom?
yes.
Okay, I'm gonna scroll through them. This is image 1.
Mhm.
This is the second image, the third image, and the fourth image. And I'll go back this way again, and whichever direction you want me to go.
Okay, shall I just call them out?
Yeah, you can call them out, whichever. Yep.
Okay, number 1, we're going to go with the cat.
Number 1 is the cat. Okay. So we have this one,
Number 2 will be the woodworker.
woodworker's number 2. Okay. And we need a third place. This one or this one?
Third place will go to the building.
Building. Okay. So that leaves this one as an HM.
Yeah, and this one, again, it's a contrast issue. A great shot with the birds, but it's a contrast issue.
All right, I need 2 more images out of this group for HMs. So we have this image, second image, third image, and the fourth image.
Can you go back to the coins for just a moment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The sculpture on the left will be one of the HMs.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
And
We have bridge coins or the water.
I think the water.
Water?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're all set then. We'll review this contest and then we'll go on to the next one. We have a question for you. Do you have a book or a website for the zone system that you can recommend?
I really don't. My basis in the zone system goes back to the 70s when my hair was this long by just the nature of the times versus COVID. And the zone system is a process that Ansel Adams and Fred Archer came up with that controls exposure and the processing of the film. And those books were quite technical in terms of the development process. So they're not really appropriate for a digital age. There's a couple of sites that I've seen that explain it pretty well.
Would we just Google digital photography zone system or how?
Yeah, I would try that. If you can pick up Ansel Adams books and you want to actually learn photography, there's a series called The Camera and the Lens. And The Camera and the Lens is the first one. And then there's, I think, 3 other books in the series. Again, it's technical in the sense that it goes into chemistry and all sorts of things in the darkroom, but the exposure, the discussion on how to expose is critically important. And those books are set up primarily for view cameras, so you sort of have to adjust your point of reference. But the Camera and the Lens is a great book. They're like the Bibles of black and white photography.
Okay, cool. All right, we're going to review this contest and then we'll go to the next one.
Okay, level 2 winners. Honorable mention. Astrolabe by John Curzel. Congratulations, John. Flying in Unison, Terry Donofrio. Congratulations, Terry. And Edgewater Townhouses by John Curzel. Congratulations, John. Third place, Divine Presence, Pat Curzel. Congratulations. Keeping it in the family tonight.
Yeah, they're cleaning house. I don't know. They didn't even bake anything.
Yeah.
They
And
sent me a
second
check
place,
though.
Skilled Hands at Work, Walter Blitz, one of our newer members. Congratulations, Walter.
Very nice. All right. We're going to move on to group 3 now. We have 31 images. So we're going to have a first, second, third place and 7 HMs. And then after that group, we'll go through them and we'll take a 5-minute break. And here we go.
Red Maple in Winter.
Very nicely done. Great exposure. Very interesting subject, interesting lines. Yeah, might be a little bit more detail in the tree trunk you could pull out by a little bit of dodging and burning there. Great image, 8.
Chincoteague Pier.
We're going to do a 7 on this one. This is more a subject matter type thing. The black and white's quite good. I like that. It's a good image. It doesn't really float my boat. There's not really a super strong subject in this that's grabbing me. So I'm going to do a 7 on this one.
Lot Open.
This is I'll do a 8 on this. This is beginning to go into the range of HDR, and that whole subject's a really kind of technical but sort of aesthetic thing. There's a thing called the uncanny valley, and it's a term that's used in robotics as well as in art, especially animation, where you can just go over the edge a little bit and your image is no longer believable and the mind reacts to it. And it's like Avatar, the movie. You can take it to 95% of real and the mind will say, good, it's a movie. If you go to 96, 97, 98% real, if you tried to put a digital actor in there, obviously, the mind would rebel to it. And that's what happens a lot of times with black and white. It's nicely done. So an 8 on this.
Cement Kiln.
Gonna do a 6 on this one because the highlights in the sky are wiped out. And that's a critical error with a lot of black and whites, a lot of color photography too. When you don't hold your highlights, you've lost the image. And there's any number of different ways in post that you can add detail back into blown clouds, but you really have to do it. So that's kind of like an absolute no-no from a judging perspective at this level. The shot itself is fine. I might straighten out the lines a little bit, maybe shoot it a little bit wider to give yourself some options there in terms of cropping it.
Spring in Black and White.
This one has a problem that's really common in black and white photography, and that is the background areas tend to get kind of muddled and, they're just not smooth. With shots like this, one of the great benefits of color is you can start to get color blurs and all sorts of different things rather than shades of gray. So I'm going to say a 6 on this. The other problem is watch your highlights down here. Highlights anywhere that are blown are immediately going to attract the attention of a judge. And you guys were talking about competitions before. These are the types of things that will get your images scored lower than you would like.
Full frontal.
Clear. Very nicely done. We're going to do a 9 on this one. Very tough shot to get the exposure right on this. You held the clouds, the reflections. In this case, the hotness over here is probably okay. The black or whatever color this was, whether you filtered it down or not, I don't know. But nicely done. And it's an interesting subject.
Come hither.
I'd do an 8 on this. I love the picture. Huge potential. It's a little bit on the gray side. And that's not helping. But the image itself is very strong and I think has a lot more potential than is shown right here. Highlights are held. It just a matter of bringing up the blacks in this one.
Mahmut Pasha Tomb, Istanbul.
I'm going to do a 7 on this. Despite the fact that we run a exhibition called Transformations, where we look for transformed images, I'm actually very much a traditionalist in a lot of ways, and things like I think that I obviously I don't know what the original image looked like, but this kind of doesn't work for me, and that might be personal, and everybody else might love it. So take my comments for what they're worth. It's not my thing. I think we had a stronger image potentially just as a somewhat straighter image.
What was your score? 7?
7.
Okay.
Twin lights.
Very high quality black and white. I would love to see this with the buildings actually corrected for perspective. Would have had to be farther back or use a different lens, but the quality of the black and white printing on this is very, very, very good. So I'm going to do a 9 on this just on a quality basis.
Please call me.
I want to do one thing here for a second. I want to make sure that is the car cut off in the image or
No.
no? So let me. I want to just see how to adjust. For some reason, I cannot change that. With any of the view settings.
You're in full screen, or I believe.
Yeah. I am.
Valerie's the expert.
Yeah, Valerie, do you know?
Sorry, I was on mute. With your view options
Yeah, is there,
at the top, go to
Yeah.
zoom ratio and fit to window. So very top, view options.
see, I'm just getting show manage participants, show chat under view. Zoom. Nope.
Should be up at the top of the screen next to where it says you're viewing Matt's screen,
Okay, let's
next
see.
to that green bar.
Yep, now it's appeared here.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, you had me stumped there.
Okay, yep.
And then fit to window.
Yeah, that's what it was on. I'm getting, it's actually cropping it on fit to window. 50% is not. Okay, well, that clarifies things. Because as soon as I go to 100%,
I added a red line to the very bottom of the image.
yeah, I could see it at 50%.
That's the bottom, and this is the topish. I can't quite get to the very, very top. But
Yeah. Okay, in any event, so we're going to do go back here for a second. I like this. We'll do an 8 on this. What I would do generally, what I'd suggest is there's a lot more white in the clouds before you lose detail. I would bring them out, which will greatly increase the contrast on this. And I think you'll have a much more, you'll have a stronger image overall. But nice concept. Well done. Sorry for the delay, folks.
Palouse tree.
Nicely done too. We're going to do a 9 on this one. I like the positioning very much. The sky is great. You have enough blacks in there. The tonality on this one really stands out. This will make a very nice print. Well done.
Mute swan smoothing its feathers.
Very difficult shot. So we're going to do a 9 on this one too. Nicely done. Very nicely done. The tonality on this is very good. And it's a cute shot. Might have a little bit too hot down. Where's my annotate? Right in here. I can't really tell. That's one area that I'd look in. It's a little bit too large to leave. These are fine down in here. But very nicely done. Nice job.
Dandelion.
Do an 8 on this. It's again, it's a good quality black and white. I think that it's the subject matter is not quite as strong as I would like, but the printing quality is quite good. So an 8 on this.
Iced.
We're going to do a 7 on this one. This is one of those ones that's very, very tough to work with. I think that it's almost gone. There's let me get this back here. There's a little bit more shadow detail in the black areas here and here, which I think would really help the image. be a lot stronger. Good concept. It's not, it's nicely done. Did I score this? I think,
Yes, 7.
yep. I'll do a 7 on this one as well. You know, the boat down at the bottom doesn't help the image too much. It provides a distraction. But with a shot like this, one of the questions, whether it's in color or black and white, you have to ask yourself, what is it a photograph of? Okay. Now, that is different than asking, what is it a picture of? Okay, so note that there's a difference between a pretty picture and a photograph. And shots like this and a lot of landscape shots fall into the category of pictures rather than photographs. Because within this, I can't really identify what the subject is. It looks, I don't know. And it might be an absolutely gorgeous picture. It might be a great memory, but unless there's a clear demarcation of what I'm supposed to be understanding about this location, gets a little bit tougher. So I think a 7 on this one.
Abandoned and unloved.
A 7 on this one too, I think. There's obviously much more of a story here, but with abandoned buildings, we have to start being careful because they have become so common that it's like, oh, another abandoned building. And I don't mean that in a, maybe as harshly as it sounded, but you've got to come up with something that's special. Shooting in mental institutions is no longer uncommon. We're not looking at something we haven't seen. And there's a thing called velodomin, which is this guy came up with this idea of naming all the unnamed things in the world. And one of them, velodomin, is that everything has already been photographed. And it's a bizarre concept. He has a video on it that after 2.5 minutes, I wanted to shoot myself. But it's important to recognize that those things happen. And this just doesn't have a super strong image quality to it. So a 7 on this one.
Black Beauty.
Could do a 6 on this one. This doesn't really make it. Flowers are really tough to do in black and white. They're either really good or they generally suffer a little bit. And the exposure is fine here, but it just, there's not enough force in the picture to sort of carry it through visually for me. The processing's fine. It doesn't have a super dynamic impact.
We need to, okay, Walk's End.
Nicely seen. Nicely seen. We'll do a 7 on this. It's well seen and it's a good shot.
Trees and Snow.
Good to do a 7 on this. The snow exposure is fine. The sky is way dark, which doesn't make sense visually. You're also getting these areas right here, right at the borderline. There's some problems with that. I think it's a nice try, but a 7 on this one.
Strumming on the Street.
Good potential, needs a little bit more room in terms of the actual shooting. The lines are pretty good on this, a little bit more on top. There's also some contrast issues on this one. has potential. I think if you go back and work on it a little bit, it's going to be particularly in this area. Down in here, there's a lot more detail that can come out. I don't know what's behind him here, whether that's a blank wall or what, but you want to get as much detail as you can. Right in here is another area. It's well shot, and I think it has a lot of potential. There's nothing in here that indicates that you can't get a great image out of that. So I'm going to say a 7 on this one.
Deadheads.
I'm going to go back to the 6 on this with the flowers. Again, with black and white, you have all sorts of issues with backgrounds. And no matter what you do to them, unless they've gone totally soft, you've got a visual problem. It becomes this is a very busy image, and I'm looking at the backgrounds as much as I'm looking at the flowers. Things like this almost need color photography or really, really careful black and white. So go into it knowing that you've got to blow these things out, and they've got to be super, super soft, because otherwise visually it's not going to work.
Runaway train.
We'll do a 7 on this one. Could use a little bit more contrast. There's a lot of gray in the center area. And again, this is one of those subject matters that is kind of common. So you might want to start looking at details rather than the whole thing. It's just that, in any exhibition, we'll get 25 trains like this. So they've got to be really, really good to stand out. But this is nicely shot. So a 7 on this one.
Matt, you had, yeah, okay. Rookery and Sky.
Okay, this I really like. I mean, somebody had a unique point of view, and it really works. This is a 9. This is a good image. I like this a lot. Well seen.
South Street Scraper.
Do an 8 on this. This is a nicely done black and white shot. This is one that you could stick in a catalog, and it would be fine. Nicely done. So an 8 on this, I think.
A Day at the Farm.
Very well done. Again, might crop off this area right over here a little bit. Either that or I'd fix the white spot right here. And I think I would probably clone out these over here. They don't add anything to the picture, but they do add a visual distraction because your eye is going right to the edge of the frame first. But an 8 on this one, nicely done.
Dry and Brittle.
I like this a lot as well. This is one that I really think needs a little bit more contrast to it, especially in the leaf. And it's there. Again, this whole idea of using white, increasing your white or reducing your white depending on the frame, and black, working with white and blacks rather than contrast, plays a big role in this. We also have the opportunity to mirror different black and white film stocks. And this is one that might immediately jump off the frame by choosing something to, for example, mirror a Panatomic X, an old film stock, or one of the Agatha films. Tremendous difference in how they render contrast. But this is nicely done. So an 8 on this.
Mute swan peekaboo.
Exposure wise, it's fine. It's not quite as strong as I'd like. This one, I guarantee you would be tough to print. So be careful when you do that. This is going to need to go to a good printer. It's a nice image. It's an 8. It just doesn't quite grab me subject wise, but technically it's good.
Fern bokeh.
Okay, so here we have basically flora like we've had before, but the exposure settings, and I suspect that it's more the distance than aperture that's making this work. Everything's really, really, really soft in the background, and that's what saves images like this. This is exactly what I was talking about. Nicely done, and I like the layout and the composition. I'm going to do a 9 on this.
Impressive interior.
It is an impressive interior, and it's an 8 all the way down the line. It's a good shot. Processing is good all the way through. It's a nice shot.
Reaching.
I'm going to do a 6 on this one. It's a little flat. It's obviously going toward an abstract, but it doesn't quite make it as an abstract. So here, if you want to keep working on it, I tried darkening things down. You've got some soft areas in the very front of the image that are going to present a challenge to you. Especially as the contrast goes up a little bit in the rest of the image. It's a good try, but I'm going to do a 6 on this one.
Peeling paint.
Yeah, this is it's nicely seen. This is one where the sharpness has been increased either through whatever form you took, but it strikes me as being overly sharpened, not necessarily overly sharp, but just overly sharpened to bring everything out. And this is sort of going into that HDR range and type of look that's very, very difficult to pull off in black and white. So I'm going to do a 7 on this. And again, a 9.
All right. We have 6 9s, so we get our first, second, and third out of that. This is the first image we have, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the 6th image.
Okay. Number 1 goes to that one.
This one?
Yep.
Okay. The
And
circles or whatever, half moons.
yeah,
Whatever this is.
and that is because of the visioning that the person has exhibited in this. And it's very, very nice.
So then we have this one, 2, 3, 4, and 5 left.
Okay, number 2 is going to go to the Palouse tree, and this
one?
Yep.
Okay, 2. And then
number
we
3 will be third will be the fern.
the fern. All right. And then we got an HM, HM, and an HM. So it's 1, 2, 3, 3 HMs. I need 4 more HMs, and you have 10 to pick from.
Okay,
So this is image 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the 10th one.
okay. Let's go back to the first one.
The tree. Okay.
Yep, that will be one of them.
All right. So it's 1.
Okay, the dominatrix lady will be number 2.
This one here.
Yep,
All right. 2. And we have this one. This one. This one. This one.
that one.
This is 1. Okay.
Yep.
And we have this one left.
And that one.
The farm?
Yep.
Okay. I think that's all we needed. Let me just check here. We had 3. This is 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, that's all we needed. All right.
Okay, if I could say one quick thing before we take a break. I've been married a long time, so I know I am always wrong. And when you're having your images judged, remember that a lot of it goes into personal preference from the judge, that another judge may score something very, very differently. And, just take the judging. I don't want to diminish the people that are winning, but a lot of this is, just a grain of salt type of thing and feedback rather than anything more than that.
Excellent. All right, we're going to review this contest, and then I'll put up a 5-minute timer, and we can take a 5-minute break between this and the next group.
Okay, level 3 winners. Honorable mentions. Red Maple in Winter, Jack Frobiter. Congratulations, Jack. Haven't seen you enter in a while. Full Frontal, Marianne Martin, honorable mention. Congratulations to Marianne. Come Hither, Rose Kadari, honorable mention. Congratulations, Rose. Twin Lights, John Sandstedt, honorable mention. Mute Swan Smoothing Its Feathers, Susan Little. Congratulations, Susan. And John Sandstedt, congratulations again. South Street Scraper. A Day at the Farm, Ed Hornicker, honorable mention. Congratulations to Ed. And our 3rd place winner, Fern Boca, Kathy Datana. Congratulations, Kathy. 2nd place, Palouse Tree, Wendy Sisson. Congratulations, Wendy.
All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break. And I will make it so you guys can unmute yourselves if you'd like. Oh, that doesn't work. As soon as I find you. If you want to unmute yourself, you can unmute yourself. I think actually.
I just turned it on.
And I just turned it off. So all right, it's good now. All right, 5 minutes.
And I'm happy to answer any questions if somebody has something that you'd like to ask.
Hi, Henry. I just want to say hi to you.
Let me change my view here so I can. Oops, where is?
There's no videos on if you're looking for video, Henry. Just
No,
saying.
I'm not.
Okay.
There we go. We're good. Was that Lynn that said that?
Yep, that was
Oh.
Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, how are you?
We're surviving, getting a little bit tired of this stay-at-home nonsense.
I know.
But it is, it's all good.
But at least you didn't have to travel tonight.
That's quite true.
Yeah.
Yeah, this generally works out pretty well for judging.
Yeah.
And it's
And
much,
for us.
yeah. It's much harder for people to throw things at me.
They were throwing it at the monitor.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say hi to Anastasia too.
Hey, Henry,
Yeah.
Hi.
Joe here. One of the things I was just thinking about, the luminosity masking could help out some of that stuff too, right? With the black and whites and all like that. Doing some of that,
Yep.
some of that stuff. We're doing some of that work.
Oh, yeah. Luminosity masking is the gold standard right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just looking at that because there's a lot of things that can be done with that. I mean, I actually shoot with the 4x5, and actually the black and whites I try to use a zone system at this point with it.
Yep.
With doing that, I took a workshop with Alan Ross recently, so I had a chance to do some work there. So
Yeah, if I can make a recommendation, Greg Benz
yes,
has
I've got his software already. I've been using it for about a year or two now, and it's really, really nice. The luminosity masking.
it is. It helps a lot, especially in the early stages of an image.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the things that folks have to realize is that the black and white prints of old, even when they said, oh, they're darkroom made, there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into them.
Yes, I know. I still print that way.
Yeah. Ansel Adams has an image called Moonrise Hernandez.
Yes.
And I've seen his notes on Moonrise, how he printed it over the years. And, I don't understand his notes. They were his own shorthand, but they were extensive. They were quite extensive. And he changed it over the years dramatically. So a print that he made in 1945 looks nothing like a print he made in 1970.
Yeah, well, a number of years ago, the Princeton University museum had actually had that one showing different stages of that particular image.
Yep.
Where it went from, where it started with, and through the stages, and where it got to at the final stages. So that was really interesting to see.
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating. And it's when Adams was probably the best printer of all time. I mean, we're close to it. And I remember seeing an image of his at the Michener Museum that I've never seen in print anywhere. And it was a portrait of a woman in white. And it was at the far end of the room, but as soon as you walked into the room, that one print just grabbed you. And that's kind of the power of black and white.
Yeah.
And, it was instantaneous and just quite a remarkable image.
Yes, I actually have the 3 books that he has.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here, I also have
5.
way beyond monochrome, and I also have using the view camera too, which goes into some of the issues on the zone system.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I've never really done a lot of looking online to see who's doing a good zone system course. But I'm sure that it's out there. And the tenets of the zone system are simply how to expose your film, or how to expose your image rather.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that, yeah, that's just it. When I meet her, it's like, okay, fine. It's like, where do you want to put your blacks is when I'm with my spot meter.
Yep. Yeah, see, and with the new Nikons, anything from the D800 on, in terms of era, you've got 4 stops now, or 4 zones that you can pull up your shadow detail without inducing any noise.
Yeah.
It's really quite remarkable. But you still can't blow your highlights.
Yeah.
That becomes, in the digital age now, because Canon is finally caught up to where Nikon and Sony are. They're a little bit behind, but it's close enough. They're maybe 3.5 stops. The Sony and the Nikon sensors are basically the same sensor, and they can pull shadow detail, but no sensor can bring back what you burned out.
Right. Once you lose it, it's not that high end, you're gone. It's gone.
Yep. Yeah, and then you start getting into, you can reconstruct it in post, but it can become a bit of a nightmare to do, even if you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to mute everybody. So give me 1 second to unmute you, Henry and Debbie. Debbie and Henry should be unmuted now.
I think I am.
Henry
I am.
is. Debbie, yes, you are.
I'm
Okay.
good.
All right, we're going to move on to our salon group. We have 22 images. We need a first, second, and third, and then 4 HMs. And then after this group, I'll put together the 3 first place, and you get to pick the best of show.
Okay, level 4. In a realm all its own, Cadillac.
This is a great image. This is fun. And not only is black and white quality good, but when you're creating a photograph, you want it to be interesting. This is not a picture. This is a photograph. Somebody put a lot of thought to this. This gets a 9. Nicely conceived.
Court Abbey Graveyard.
I'm going to do a 7 on this. The sky's a little bit on the, I don't know quite how to say it. The sky's quite dominant in the shot, and it's a little bit on the tough side visually. I think a 7 on this one. Graveyards like this are tough to photograph, and I know that. But
Sad Saint Nick.
I'm going to do an 8 on this. Nicely done. The textures are quite good without going over the top. There's a sharpness to them, but also a softness. The tones are good, and it's an engaging picture. Actually, excuse me about that. I like this, Nate.
The Blue Hour in black and white.
I'm going to do, I think technically this is good. I don't know that the foreground's really adding too much to this. This is one of those velodominant shots. We see lots and lots of these, so you got to go really unique when you're doing these. We're going to do a 7 on this. I think some needs a little bit of work. Let's see, down in here, a little bit more detail.
Can't see your pen, Henry.
Huh. I don't.
There you go.
Okay. Buildings in here, a little bit more detail right in here. So you have to draw a fine line. The other thing that I do like in this area is I bring the whites up. You have some whites in here. It's that difference between white and black that's going to give you the highest impact on your image. So we're going to say 7 on this one.
Thor's Well.
The problem I have with this image is that it does not appear to be sharp. And it's more than the water rushing. It's obviously a slow exposure, but where lose it is right in here for me. And it does not look sharp. I'm going to do a 6 on this one. It's just a little bit sharp, off center here. I don't know. A shot like this almost has to be done on a tripod. There are exceptions with certain camera bodies now and certain lenses where you can get 5 or 6 stops of stabilization. But this one needed a tripod. So I'm going to do a 6.
Angry Crow.
We just watched the birds the other night, so this is upsetting. Do a 7 on this. I like this. This is actually let's go to an 8 on this because it's really well captured. I think that you have a little bit of room that you can pull up some shadow detail on here. But it's well captured, nicely done. So we'll do an 8 on this.
Walking into the Unknown.
Do an 8 on this one too. The exposure is great. The theme is good. This is one where you don't need a title to understand what the picture is about. Nicely done, nicely conceived. One of the things that we see a lot of is pictures because they're not photographs. They don't have a story to them. They don't have, the abstracts can stand on their own, but when you have something like this, you have to have somewhat of a story, and this one does. So, did I score this one yet?
Yes. Have a seat.
Technically, I'm going to do an 8 on this one. It looks like it's nicely done. The processing is good. A little bit concerned about the sky up in here, seeing a little bit of haloing. This actually needs a sky. And this would be one that you wouldn't be remiss to just focus on the chair and something like this rather than the whole house. So, with a scene like this, work it, because it's not just one potential image, but it's well done.
Bolds.
We'll do a 7 on this one. This needs to pop a little bit more. I know this location well since it's less than a mile from my house. I think it needs a little bit more pop to it.
White Ibis.
The bird is great. I love the bird. This area right down here is a bit of a problem visually, and I don't know what really to suggest. It actually might be too dark, and the grass in front here, again, might be too dark. I like the background, I like the bird. The foreground sort of leaves me a little bit on the gray side. So we'll do a 7 on this.
The Path.
We're going to do a 7 on this one. I think it's well exposed. It's interesting. I don't quite understand the fog, but it works. If you had a person in it, it would be great. It's a nice shot. But I think this is 7.
Night vision.
I'm going to do a 9 on this one. And there are people there going, what is the matter with his brain? But this is one of those images that actually, when you walk into a room and looked at it, you would actually look at it. You wouldn't just walk on by and stroll on by. You would actually, if it's framed properly, it would be a very, very popular image. It's well conceived, nicely done.
Finding focus.
I'm going to do an 8 on this. I like this. This is an interesting shot. The gray tones that just over dominate it. I think you need a little bit more contrast in this again. I know that you're saying that's all he's saying, but it's a common theme and it's a common error with black and white, is to not pop. So an 8 on this one, nicely shot. Or nicely shot and processed, I should say.
Rusting away in the pines.
This is one of the better shots of old rusty cars in the Pine Barrens, or the Pinelands, or wherever this is, pine trees. And because it's one of the better ones, I'm going to do an 8 on this. Again, be really careful, because there's 10 gazillion shots that you're competing with. So concept wise, it's okay. Technically, it's good. But just be really careful about shooting very common subjects.
Majestic male anhinga.
I'm going to give this one a 7. It's well shot. This strikes me as one of those shots, though, that would be better off as a color image. And there's just so much gray back here. And even though it's all fuzzed out, it's not adding a lot. And I use a lot of negative space in my images. So I don't have a problem with a lot of negative space, but this is just a little on the gray side for me. But it's well shot. It's an interesting bird. A 7.
Solitude.
Well shot, well exposed. Nicely done. An 8 on this one. An 8. A little bit more depth of field up here if you could get it, but it's a nice shot.
Alexa.
Alexa is a great shot. I would look at different cropping though. I'd probably take this out and crop in a little bit tighter. Either that or just clone this out. I like this a lot. This is an 8. It's a nice picture. Might want to soften it down just a touch on the skin. Babies do look like this sometimes. So, but I'd probably look at softening the skin. But other than that, that's an 8. It's a good, strong picture. Like the use of the black in the hands. Good shot.
Ginkgo leaves in the wind.
Okay, this is the black and white that actually works because we've gotten rid of the background basically entirely. And I'll do an 8 on this one. This is a well-processed shot, and it's a well-conceived shot. As a judge, I'm almost always going to score a well-conceived shot better than pictures of things that are more mundane or more normal, visually normal. I like this a lot.
Taking an evening train.
Okay. I'm going to do a 6 on this one. The sky is really problematic. There's some softness here, and I think there's an attempt to go to an HDR in an effort to save the shot. The positioning is fine. This is one that I don't think you have to go to this extreme to end up with a good shot. And again, it's local to me. It's something I've seen lots and lots and lots of shots of. It's okay, but I think that the processing on this one hurts it. You actually have the basis of one of the stronger shots of the train, a part that it's the diesel rather than the steam engine. But it's shot well. I think the processing hurts you on this one.
Flag by rock wall.
I'm going to do a 6 on this one also. The problem that I see here is again one of contrast. The image doesn't pop off the screen the way it should. And this one, Nick Software has a program called Silver Effects. And I guess this is true of almost any of the black and white programs today. But look at your color filters when you're bringing an image in, so that you'll find that if you use a red filter, that you're going to get a lot more pop out of certain colors. And if you use a blue filter, you'll do the same thing. Play with them and you'll see that you can get a lot more quality out of the images. But this is a little too gray for me. So a 6 on that.
Wing stretch.
I suspect that wing stretch needs a little bit more shutter speed because you're a little bit soft all the way around. The processing is good. The tonality is good. There's some softness that looks like it's probably camera movement or subject movement rather. I think you needed to at least double your shutter speed to get this guy. Good capture apart from that, so let's do a 7 on that.
The ghost.
Interesting concept. I'll do an 8. Processing is good. There's some thought that went into it. I don't know exactly how this was laid out. I might change the composition a little bit, but the concept is there. It's interesting. Nine.
Your favorite black and white is not black and white. All right, we have 2 9s. We need first and second out of these. So we have the first image here and your second image here. The first one and the second one.
Tough call.
Take your time.
I'm going to go with this one as number 1.
Eyeballs?
Eyeballs, yep.
All right, number 1. This is number 2.
Yep. And that's a tough call.
So now we have 10 images. I need a third place. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the 10th one.
We're gonna go with Santa Claus.
Santa Claus, number 3. Okay. I need 4 HMs. We'll start with this one. 1, 2,
This is one of the HMs.
all right, 3, 4, 5, 6,
This will be one of the HMs.
7, 8,
This will be an HM.
and that's the 9th one. And we can go back.
Let's do that one as
The baby.
baby. Yep.
Okay. I think that's all we needed. Let's make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we're all set. We'll review this contest and then I will put together the best of show and you can pick from those 3.
Okay, level 4. Honorable mentions. Walking into the Unknown, Sue Fielder. Congratulations, Sue. Solitude, Greg DeAngelis. Congratulations, Greg. Alexa, Harvey Birnbaum. Congratulations, Harvey. Ginkgo Leaves in the Wind, also Sue Fielder. Congratulations, Sue. Third place, Sad Saint Nick. That's me.
Congratulations, Debbie.
Thank you. And second place, my other half in a realm all its own, Cadillac, John Aniano.
Very nice. All right, I'm gonna put together the best of show here real quick. All right. One last final task for you. And that's choosing the best of show. All right, these are the 3 images. We have this one, we have this one, or we have this one.
I'm going to go with the arches.
The arches is the best of show? All
Yep.
right. The arches. Excellent. All right, we'll review this contest. Actually,
Okay, so first we've got the level 4 first place, John Aniano. If you can unmute John, he can tell us about the image.
we'll definitely unmute John because I want to know about this image.
I unmuted?
You're unmuted.
Oh, okay.
Is that Debbie?
No, this is John.
No, I mean, is that Debbie's eyes?
No,
Hey,
no, it's our cat. It's our cat's eyes.
Okay.
It was taken in broad daylight with a experimental lens that I made. It uses something called a Fresnel lens. It's not designed for taking images, but I forced it to do that. I used some PVC pipe to make a housing to focus the lens. And it's got an f-stop of about 0.7 of 32 millimeter. It works.
A great
Very-
image, John. Great image.
Thank
I
you.
would love to see the unedited version.
I can dig that up.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very, very nice.
Let me turn the chat on because I see people are chatting. Congratulations. Chat is on. Okay, good. Excellent. All right, next image.
Okay, and our level 2 first place image, Homeless by Pat Kurzel. Congratulations, Pat.
That's great.
And I'm trying to find you, John. Unmute
And I'm
you.
sure that cat isn't homeless anymore, Pat.
Oh, yes, he is. He's one of
Aw.
about 12 down by our dumpster. And he was in all the snow, sitting on the box, just sitting there, which is
Aw.
surprising because most of the time they just run. And it's just sat there. And I just took out, reached in my pocket, pulled out the Sony CyberShot, and that's my picture.
Very nice.
Very nice.
I didn't have to crop it, nothing. I did absolutely, well, actually the cat is pale gray and white.
Huh.
And just worked with the color.
I put the border on it.
Oh, you get half credit, John. Excellent.
They're beautiful, the cats down there. Thank you.
All right, and our best to show.
Best to show. Michael Padley, Rookery and Sky. Michael, 2 months in a row. Congratulations.
Michael, you should be unmuted.
Yes, I am, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I was taken in the rookery, looking down from the top of the spot of the staircase. When I was last in Chicago, was a while back, and I have no idea what camera or lens I was using. And when I looked down and after I took the picture, I didn't like what was on the bottom beneath the staircase. So I put in a sky, and you're looking down into the sky.
It has a very nice surrealistic feel to it.
Yes, exactly.
Good job, Michael.
Very cool. If anybody wants to unmute themselves, I've allowed you to do that. If you want your video turned back on, I can do that as well. And that pretty much concludes this month's competition.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you very much for all those comments.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes,
Yeah.
Henry, this was like having a speaker and a judge all in one. I know I, for one, learned a lot listening to you and telling us how to best take black and white images, and your critiques on the images were absolutely excellent. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Send him the picture.
Good night, Anastasia.
Bye, Anastasia.
And says, well done, everyone. It was a real learning experience.
Yes, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed it.
Thanks, Henry.
Okay,
Thank you.
take care.
Come
Bye
back
bye.
again.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye,
Anybody that
everyone.
wants to stay, just let me know.
What is it?